From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Jen Landa.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
And I love doing that in a sing-songy voice because it's routine and habit for my brain. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Hey, we are going to dive into Star Wars Visions Volume 3, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Our long-awaited deep dive into these episodes there. We thank you for your patience out there. Before we get to that, we want to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by our shop on Fourth Wall. That's right. Check out our merch store. Pick up a t-shirt, pint glass, coaster, something to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy. Don't bring out your own pint glass to the local pub, unless it's one of those pubs where you bring your own and then they hang it on the wall. Then that's a different thing. Otherwise, just, wear a t-shirt in the pub. We're always adding items. If you need something specific, hey, let us know. We'll add it to the shop. You can go to ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com. ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com and pick up something for the show. That's on that side. On the YouTube side, Joseph, we are still climbing towards our next goal.
That is right. Our next goal is 10,500 subscribers. We are relatively close. So if you would like to see our faces more often, please join us on YouTube. Hit whatever button you find, as long as it's a positive button. I don't even know what all the buttons are today, Ken. There's like a bell. Is there a donkey? What does the donkey mean? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. There's a brain donkey.
What?
I just made that up. Just every time it's like every time I check, it's like, well, hit like, hit subscribe. Well, do you actually get the videos if you're subscribed? No, you got to hit a bell. What? So please hit all the things that make our lives better. You can also follow us on Blue Sky and TikTok, where we continue to attempt to get better about posting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough time for that, I will say. Yeah, subscribe, though. New for 2026. Subscribers don't matter as much. You got to have 1,000 subs or else you won't get monetized. We're well over that. But that hype button. Jen, do you know about the hype button?
I've only recently learned about the hype button. And then there's isn't there also like a support or donate button too? Like there's so many buttons.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
A lot of buttons.
What does the hype button do? Just make like an air horn noise? What does the hype button do?
Yeah. Well, you're limited to 3 hypes a week as a listener, so you have 3 opportunities to hype a video you like, and that puts the video on a ranking board, and then you're rich and famous.
Can you buy hype points to like more than 3?
Oh, I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, you just probably stumbled onto the great next money making thing. Buy your hype points, kids.
Is it a way for your thing to get seen too? Is that like the idea, like gaming the algorithm so that you get bumped up?
Yeah, it's internal. Yeah, and like I said, they are not that subscribers aren't important, because we're talking about our subscriber goal. The numbers are important, but they have now removed subscribers on mobile. Most people watch YouTube on mobile, right? You don't see there's just a subscribe button, but you used to see how many subscribers they had. That's gone. But you can hype, Jen. Hype.
Okay. And next week we'll have hype goals.
Goals.
3 hypes.
We call it the brain donkey goals.
Yeah.
But anyways, hey, new Star Wars is technically out there. That's right. There is Star Wars Visions Volume 3. This is now the 3rd year in a row. That's why it's named Volume 3. That this series has come out, and we wanted to take a look at it. Joseph, you're going to help us get through the first 3 episodes of 9.
That is right. I want to just start with a sort of a reset on our Visions love. I think Ken and I have probably done more sort of Visions reviews and discussions. At times you couldn't join us, Jennifer, so this is great that you're here. So I want to start with you with just the big picture question of how do you feel about Visions these days? Are you still enjoying the show? Does this kind of bite-sized storytelling draw you in?
I think I've gotten more used to it, and I think this batch of 3 in particular, I thought they were very strong, and they somehow felt they took me on a journey. I don't want to say they're cohesive, right? But there was something about it where it really did feel like these complete little stories that I could get immersed into for 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. That's about as much time as I have, bite size right now.
So bite size was friendly. How about you, Ken? How are you feeling about Visions these days?
I have to be really honest. Here's the pattern. Every time. This has been all 3 years. I don't want to watch this. I'm not interested in this. I don't. God bless those that love it. And I sit down and watch, and I go, oh, that was really great. That was fun. That was sweet. Oh, that was good. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that kind of made me emotional. Oh, I love that design. Every time. You'd think I'd learn by now. I did love these episodes a lot, especially The Ninth Jedi, which I think was shared. We'll get into that, of course. But yeah, I have to be. I don't know why. We'll talk. I just every time. 3 years now.
Yeah.
Here I am. I enjoy it.
I feel the same way. I am excited to watch them, but I think for me, it's just I've had lots of different things on my plate, and I feel like it feels exhausting to restart, to go like, there's 9 of these to watch, and even though I'll like them, each one feels like a separate thing to take in. So it's sort of like, instead of having one big meal, here's little 9 mini meals. And I think there's something in me that kind of grumbles about, I don't want 9 mini meals. I want one big meal. But same as you, as soon as I watch them, I enjoy them. And I think this is an interesting point where, to me, they aren't, some of them are mini meals, but now 2 of the ones we watched are sequels, and one of the ones we watched is getting an entire spinoff. So that feeling of, it's almost frustrating to invest in them, because just as you're hooked in and kind of want to know more or really like that twist on a Star Wars aesthetic or idea, then the sort of the door of like, well, did you like that? Too bad, it's over. Slams down on you, which I think is one of the things that has made me kind of resistant. Of some of them are really successful at just being like, that's a bite-sized little fun thing that you can watch for fun. It's a complete idea, as Jen was saying. And others do not feel like complete ideas. They feel like pilots. But these 3, I think I got past that, because the 2 of them are kind of continuing stories. So be it.
Yeah.
Other kind of big thing that I really like about them always is seeing all of the aesthetics of Star Wars together. Almost all 3 of these are like, there is no line between original trilogy, prequel, sequel, any other aesthetic. It's this fun grab bag of Star Wars. And I think, being my age, where I have lived through the prequel wars and the sequel wars, and anger about differences in design and aesthetic, or, we don't like that. We don't like this trilogy, but okay, this one thing from it's kind of cool. Just see all of those visual ideas. Just it's all Star Wars. Visions really drives that home again and again, of like, the fighting will subside, and all of these ideas will be Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. We'll get into it, I'm sure, with each episode, but it kind of what draws me in initially, where even if I'm kind of got that pouty preteen boy attitude towards homework, then I'm like, that is a great take on that thing. Oh my God, and is that the transports from, is that the lats? Like, yeah, I'm with you. It's a wonderful, if we're talking meals, this is where you just go to the buffet and put it all at one plate and stir.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like when you go to the soda machine and mix all of the sodas.
Yes.
And yet somehow it tastes good. Jen, to you, what is the value of the non-canon Star Wars? It's such a big thing about Visions of, it's just a playground. You can take anything of Star Wars, but there's no concern about like, well, was Han Solo alive then? There's no canon.
Yeah, I think that as opposed to some of the other anthology series, I was thinking like Tales of the Jedi or whatever the other tales were.
Empire
Can't remember
and
now.
Sith and
Yeah,
Sith,
so
Underworld.
like that, what I like about this is that I can dive in, and I kind of had to remind myself, because I was like, oh, this is going to be the recreation of Hoth. This is going to be the and I had to remind myself, no, that's not how this works. I kind of feel like that was how it worked with the first season, but we've gotten past that. And there are so many elements that are familiar, but it really is also woven into like this new thing that I can enjoy, and I'm not going to know necessarily where they're going. And I think that was kind of freeing. I literally had to like reset my brain and be like, oh, I can just watch. It's for fun. I don't have to get caught up in the canon or whatever. Like, just enjoy it. And there's something really nice about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that one of the things I like about the non-canon is just that sort of that pure aesthetic. Like the aesthetics, we can't remove the sort of signifiers. And I think that the second one we're going to talk about does evoke Hoth in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
It's,
Mhm.
it's a princess turned warrior on a frozen planet, worried about the base being discovered by the Empire. That is really Hothy, but it's not tied to anything Hoth
No.
related. The way,
Right.
like, okay, you know what? We just get to see Ewoks in the snow. We just get to see them, and there's no worry about, like, how did they get off the moon of Endor? Who did they eat and kill to get those coats? Are they made of skin? There's no canon. It's just they're Ewoks in the snow. I love that sort of what if element of these. And I think also because it's stripped from those really pedantic meanings, it is just the idea. It's just the idea of a princess. Instead of watching the character of Leia Organa, we're watching a character who's definitely informed by the existence of Leia Organa, but we're really kind of watching a princess as an
Mhm.
idea. It's sort
Mhm.
of, I think it strips down a lot of the Star Wars character stuff into sort of almost iconography in a way that makes it really interesting to just relate directly to the ideas. Ken?
Yeah, I have a weird. Joseph, I might need some not Star Wars counseling. I might need some thematic readings of my life. I'm going to lean on you here, because I'm such a little brat. If you are so beholden to canon, I'm like I usually poke at not you two, but I usually poke at you like if Dave wants to tweak something, let it happen. If Episode 9 introduces something about Poe Dameron, that's not a retcon. That's an add-on to the story that you've yet to heard. I don't hold myself to canon, but yet when it comes to non-canon things, I'm not as invested. It's fun, like you're talking about, Jen. The best way I can, like I've talked about before, like in terms of sports, I'm a big football fan, but I'm a fan of the National Football League, the pros. I don't watch college sports, and people always get frustrated with me. And I'm always like, those are kids auditioning for the pro jobs.
Mm.
When they get there, I'll pay attention. I don't really pay attention to college. Like it's not my thing. I didn't go to a big school. Like I don't have a connection to a city. And it's joke. I say it's not something serious in my life, but that's kind of what's going on here. Where I'm always like these are great designs. I'd love to see them in Star Wars, even though this is Star Wars Visions Volume 3. If that makes sense. And so I'm trying not
Mm-hmm.
to be. It's not. I'm not being grumpy about it. It's just my natural reaction when I sit down and watch these things. Because I agree with you. Like, love the inclusion of the Ewoks. Did not quite. Ewoks got diver goggles on. This is wonderful. This
Yes.
is wonderful. Um, so it's this weird dividing line, and I have to remind myself to have fun with it too. And I'm not sitting there grumpy watching. Once it starts, I'm always like, a cantina made of two walkers, and the walkers have snowshoes. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly how to relate it back to your real human life, Ken.
No,
Uh,
I need help.
but
I
you,
need help.
I know that. But uh, but you always have a good job of encapsulating things into bite-sized phrases. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot is going on about what kind of canon matters. Being really,
Mm,
really pedantic about, well, this person's design is incorrect because they don't have the correct line on their helmet, and like, you know,
yeah.
being really, really like or the book needs to match exactly. And you came up with the good phrase about what's good about canon is emotional canon of,
Mhm.
are these characters following the sort of this emotional truth? And I think that's where I go back and forth on Visions of, I like it being free of canon, so we don't need to deal with any of the sort of pedantic canon of Cad Bane
Mhm.
can't be alive then or whatever. Um, but sometimes I feel less invested because we don't have the emotional canon of it can
Yes.
sometimes feel a little like a fun dessert, because like Ewoks in the snow is fun, but there's also a part of me like I really like it and it's fun. It's like a dessert. But if in canon Star Wars, after Return of the Jedi, Ewoks spread throughout the galaxy and now they have a culture on a frozen ice world, now it's kind of a part of emotional canon because it ties back to how are these Ewoks' lives changed by their involvement in the Galactic Civil War? What does that mean about a culture that they would want to leave their forest home and start a new snow home? And as soon as the canon is, as soon as the Ewoks are in the NFL, in your analogy, then
Hmm.
it has a deeper resonance. Seeing them in the snow is aesthetically fun. It's beautiful. It's fun, but to
Yeah.
me, it isn't as deep. And I think it's why I am gravitating more toward like the Ninth Jedi, because now we're giving permission to start attaching ourselves to that story and build
Hmm.
emotional canon in a way we can't always with the sort of the bite-sized ones, because they are more college football.
They are. They're UCLA's. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. Like if in Force Awakens Admiral Akbar showed up with a scarf, we'd have a lot of things to talk about. And this one, not Admiral Akbar has a scarf at the end of the episode. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Okay.
I want a Mon. We've seen a Mon Calamari in a sweater. Let's add a scarf.
Where'd you get
There
that
are
scarf?
specific associations that we have, and I've been, studying aphasia, and like how we remember things is really interesting. And so, like for the Ewoks, there's all sorts of associations that we have, right? Like the forest moon of Endor, and they carry this, and they would never wear goggles, and why are they in water? It's like challenging how I have categorized and remembered the Ewoks, and so it's like my brain is going through all those different file cabinets that I have of where each species should be. And I'm trying to make these connections. And that's why, like, for the first episode, which we're going to talk about, I think it was, I don't know, 5 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I gotta let this go. I'm not going to question, is this the cantina? Why is there an Ewok cocktail server? There's a Yamri over there. Like, don't stop it. Like, stop it categorizing, right? Of where everything should be. And I think it's really a wonderful lesson on, like, what do they call it? Oh, shoot, I can't remember now. Neuroplasticity. I'm like trying to remember things in new ways. So my brain is having to bypass the old system.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful, like, dreamlike logic to, like, episodes like The Duel, of, like, the Ewoks are doing all of the things that the Ewoks would do, but they're not in a place they're supposed to be, which is the kind of thing you have when you dream, right? There's an authority figure, and it's kind of your dad, but it's not in your dream, and that's the thing with the Ewoks, that they feel a little like, those are Ewoks, but they're not.
But they're not.
That's my dream logic.
All
right,
it's amazing.
Let's get into this episode that's clearly to us all about Ewoks. The Duel Payback is the title. The studio that created it, Kamikaze Duga and Anima. Here is a summary. It is, of course, a sequel to, or a continuation of the first episode from season 1 called The Duel. The Ronin attacks a pair of AT-ATs that hold a mobile gambling den as he continues his mission to eliminate Sith and take their red kyber crystals. The Ronin's attack is interrupted by the Crusaders, led by a cybernetically augmented Jedi who Ronin had maimed in the past. The Crusader Jedi, known only as the Grand Master, wounds both the Ronin and his target, whose name is Anisan. Rescued by Ewoks, the Ronin, Anisan, and the gambling hall owner, who is an Anzellan, Keidama, lure the Grand Master into a trap. After a brief philosophical discussion of balance, the Ronin and Anisan defeat and kill the Grand Master. The truce over, the Ronin and Anisan begin fighting again. Friendly smiles on their faces. Just one of the most interesting parts to me.
It absolutely was.
We all saw, of course, the first episode, The Duel. There was also a book. I did not read that book, and I don't know anything about it. I have it, but I never got a chance to read it. So full acknowledgement to anybody watching or listening. I think for some of the things that we discussed, there might be more context given of the Ronin and his motivations in the book called Ronin, but we haven't read it, so we're just going to discuss canonically the 2 episodes, The Duel and The Duel: Payback. So Ken, big picture reaction. Did you like it? Medium like it? Struggle with it? And did you rewatch the original one before watching this?
I didn't, and if I had a little more time, I probably would have. And I watched this one 2 times. I found myself drifting the first viewing, but it had nothing to do with this. Just when you sit down to watch something and you're like, I shouldn't have committed to this right now. I should have waited an hour. So it took me a couple of viewings, and I really, this is perhaps the most visually intriguing to me, even though it is, it's mostly black and white or kind of. It's pencil in motion to me, which I love the style. But it is such a distinct world. The others too are as well. But this has a wonderful grime to this world. I love that we're at this gambling den. I love that that people when it started to collapse, people were just falling out of it. There was a brutality to this episode that I guess I enjoyed. It was in some weird way. So no, I definitely got pulled in by it, and this is one of those things. The reason we kind of gave this full context to talk about the canon of all. I think Acolyte was an example, but if you start questioning the Jedi or doing something a little bit different than Jedi, I get in my head like you're making a wrong statement. You're not making the nope, 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 nope. And this one just to have kind of a Jedi gone wrong, blue blade and all, but clearly kind of the villain. I was able to just kind of free myself of whatever constraints I might normally be on in canon and enjoyed the story. And I did enjoy the end because I was like, all right, now they're just flirting.
Yeah.
That flirt
Exactly.
fighting. Yeah. Yeah.
That was cool.
I did rewatch The Duel, and The Duel is one that I have rewatched a couple times because I so love the aesthetic of it, and it did feel like, oh, there could be more adventures with the Ronin, but I didn't feel a sort of the cliffhanger frustration. So I've rewatched that one several times. I really love the aesthetic of this one. I love the film grain, and I love how much this one feels like an intellectual and emotional exercise in. This is just a feedback loop now of Lucas was very inspired by Kurosawa. What if Kurosawa was inspired by Lucas? And it's just this Kurosawa Lucas circle. And I think one of the things within that is Lucas clearly changed or refined his mind about the nature of the Jedi being less nomadic. And there's such a feeling in Kurosawa of and I know it is after a war, and anyway, regardless of timeline, there's such a spirit of the idea of Jedi and Sith of what if they were a little bit more nomadic? What if they had lost their structures? And that's the way a lot of us growing up with the original trilogy just kind of assumed that the Jedi were always nomadic and never had a structure. But there's such that sense in these stories of the Jedi and Sith is like maybe they had organizations once, but now they're very nomadic. And I think it's one of the interesting things that it seems like the characters that we were interacting with are really on their own to rebuild their own personal philosophy after whatever Jedi and Sith structures fell in the last war. I was a little, I really like the ambiguity of the Ronin. And again, maybe it's clarified in the book. I had a little bit of the same kickback as you of like, there's much I loved in this, but much that I'm like, I'm a little tired of getting anywhere close to both sidings, the Jedi and the Sith. And I don't think that's what this was doing, in my opinion. But on the surface, I think it sounded a little bit like, well, both sides do it in regards to the Jedi and Sith, which troubles me, and we can talk about more. But big picture, I enjoyed it. Jennifer, what was your big picture reaction to this, and did you rewatch the first one?
No, I did not. But I did enjoy it. And I will say for me, like I said, the first few minutes, 5 minutes, I really was having a very hard time getting immersed into this world. It was a true shifting gears for me, both visually, that like cross-hatched sketching style, which I found myself so distracted by that, being like, oh, look at all those crosshatch. And I'm like, oh, go back. So what I did, and I really kind of had a hard time with the English dub, which I don't know if I guess I must have already just automatically had it on. And so I said, you know what, let me go back and let me now watch it in Japanese, because it just something felt off to me. And so I did, and it helped it tremendously.
Cool.
It became a whole new viewing experience, and I was like, okay. And I actually did that for both the first 2 episodes. The 3rd episode, I'll explain why I didn't. But this one, I felt it really did. I felt like the performances felt there's more weight to them, which I enjoyed. Overall, this was my least favorite, I would say. However, I, the contrarian, loved this take on the Jedi and the theme that it was kind of pushing. I thought it was very, very timely with everything that's going on in our world, and I appreciated that.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into that. So we are for each of these, we're going to talk about what we feel it was about. So in terms of what I responded to and what I didn't, I love the picture of the Crusader Jedi, the Grand Master, who was, in my opinion, lying to himself in saying Jedi don't take revenge, and his catchphrase of the Crusaders have arrived to grant judgment, as though it was a gift, and blurring this line between the sad need to perhaps end a Sith's life in order to defend someone else, which Jedi do, versus I'm going to make it my mission to hunt out someone who personally injured me and their inability to discern judgment from revenge, or justice from revenge. I love that. And I loved Ronan saying, you're not a Jedi, you're not even a man, just a machine, because I think it really drove home the idea of you have become just mechanical. And I love that in the contrast with what is the Ronin doing? The Ronin doesn't claim he's a Jedi. The Ronin uses a red blade to go take red blades from other people. And there's a great ambiguity of, who is he? Because he's going around hunting and killing other Sith. Is that helpful, or is that vengeance? But all of his other actions to other people in the first episode of the duel are all very, very kind and very just and very pro community, very pro defend the vulnerable. So I love all of that ambiguity. The only thing I kind of struggle with is that little bit of the lines from the Ronin flashing back and forth between the present and the past, saying there is no balance without the light and the dark. The judgment that you are so obsessed with is nothing more than the denial of the other side. You're closer to the darkness than we are.
I loved that. I
Yes.
loved it.
Let's talk about it, because for me, in the context of the present story, where this guy is calling himself a Jedi and going around getting revenge, is like, yeah, you're not a Jedi. And the Ronin, at least, is like, hey, I'm going around killing Sith, but I'm not claiming a Jedi. You're going around killing people, claiming that it's this emotionless justice. So you're full of crap. That I'm great with. The fact that the dialogue was also set in the past, and it was framed as a war between the Sith and the Jedi, and I just don't like the argument, and neither does George Lucas, that the Sith and the need to exist in order for there to be balance. Because that is just, yeah. Anyway, that's the part that I struggle with. So it's this little thin vein of it that I don't like. But what did you like about it, Jennifer?
I think for me, it's not that we have to have both, but it's recognizing that the darkness exists, recognizing that it exists within all of us, and we all have the capacity to go to the dark side, but that we also have, if we want to, we can choose the light. That is the choice. And for me, it felt a very, very. I mean, when I was looking at this Jedi, I was like, oh well, he's a rogue Jedi. He's an extremist. And within any religion, there are extremists, right? And it's like, so people will often say, well, this religion is bad and they've caused a lot of pain and whatnot. And that obviously we can recognize that. But there can sometimes be good in certain aspects of that. But then the extremists, which is what we've been seeing a lot in our world today, where they're like, no, we have to wipe out this whole thing. We have to eradicate it because I say that is the dark. I say that this is what is bad. And I felt like this challenged that notion. And from the moment that we first see, like, he's the Jedi is very violent, right? We don't see that with Jedi. So I knew automatically that this guy was out on his own, doing his own thing. Even the name Grand Master reminded me of like the Ku Klux Klan, Grand Wizard.
A little bit.
Right. And so there was these threads that were woven within. Sinner, I have come to grant justice. Woo! Powerful, powerful stuff. And I think it's just a more realistic idea of the Jedi, in my opinion, where it's like they're going to have faults. They are human. They're going to have dark impulses. We see that with Luke. But the idea to become a Jedi, you have to learn how to quiet that part of yourself, but understand it's never going to go away, right? That's all I think that this is. That's what I think.
No, I don't disagree with anything you said, and I really like the focus on being concerned about extremists. I think this is a thing where I can't let go of bigger canon, and I can't let go of how much extremely bad actors in our world use the both side-isms in the whataboutisms to move off of discussion of awful things. And the canonical story of Star Wars, is intended by George Lucas as searchable by looking up his quotes, is that the existence of of darkness within yourself is of course real, and of course we all have to struggle with that, and the existence of sadness and death and pain are all real. The Sith are actors who accelerate those things on purpose, and the Jedi are people who acknowledge the darkness and try to struggle with it. And I feel like there storytelling that allows some wiggle room in that philosophy allows people to read Star Wars as the Sith should exist too. There should be at least 2 Sith going around killing people in order for there to be balance. I think that's just one of the things that I really, really struggle with lately in stories that criticize the Jedi, which are great. Stories should criticize the Jedi. I think I'd be even more into a story like this if the kind of analogist of the extremist was more clear that he was who he was saying shouldn't exist. Yeah. Anyway, I don't really disagree with anything that you're saying about your analysis of this episode. Like I said, I just really kind of worry about the bigger picture of Star Wars reflecting anybody in the real world who wants to, say, have a sort of both sides-ism to the duality of our current political world. Ken, what are your thoughts on this?
I think this is a story that rides that line between, you both have said it, revenge and justice, and what actually is, which actually one, which one is actually being enacted. And I do, Jen, I love and get what you're saying too, about the darkness inside all of us. And I think this kind of puts that on display. And there is something always intriguing to me about, like I fell for it. Like when the blue blade comes out, it's like, oh, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I should be rooting for him. And there's something about this darkness often reflects light, which is one of the prevailing themes in season 1 of Rings of Power, which I will stand by that show for all the days and days. The Lord of the Rings show. Because I think that's fun to play with. And I think that's kind of what was on display here. I definitely am understanding and with you on that journey, Joseph, overall, where it's not often the Star Wars stories themselves. It's the conversations at bars that get me more frustrated.
Yes.
With some of the takes on just what Star Wars as a story is trying to do with Jedi, Sith, dark and light. But I think in terms of this story, and again, it's free from all those trappings, at least in its intention. It was fun to, because again, like I said, I fell for it. I was a little unsure. I couldn't remember the road. I remember the style of the first one in Volume 1, but I was like, okay, this is the continuation one. I totally forgot. And no disrespect, we had the novel, the Ronin novel, but it was just like, of all the things I got to do right now, reading this kind of non-canon Star Wars Visions novel's not going to be high on my list, and that's just the reality of where we are. So I was like, okay, am I supposed to? He's bad. He's got a red blade. He's bad, and that guy's got a blue blade. He's good, because that's the measuring system that I've functioned under for 40 plus years now. So I think at the end of the day, I did like the making me think again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that part of me is like, what I really liked about the first one, having not read the book, is that this really fun and interesting ambiguity with the Ronin of, he's not calling himself a Jedi. He is going around hunting other Sith. The Sith that he stops in the first one is pretty explicitly doing awful things to innocent, likable villagers. This Sith is a bodyguard who's told at the beginning of the episode by her boss, don't kill anybody, just bounce them. There's a lot in this of like, I would love more ambiguity and moral complexity. And there's something about the Ronin's speech that felt like it was removing some of that ambiguity, that he was making an argument, well, that some Sith should exist, in that it wasn't this just the story in this episode about the Jedi not being a Jedi anymore because he's focused on revenge was crystal clear. But that one bit of dialogue seemed to like take some ambiguity from the Ronin and make a statement that some amount of Sith should exist. And I think it is the real world stuff, but it's also like, I don't know. I feel like it robbed the Ronin of some of his ambiguity. But I guess some of that ambiguity came back when these two red-bladed people were flirt fighting. Ken, what did you take out of the meaning of that, the end, that they seem to be kind of happy to be back to their status quo of having a duel?
I just, the chemistry was electric, man. You spend some time in a bacta tank, and this is a timeless tale here. I want the story to continue and have them never really get together. This isn't will they, won't they? This is no, they're going to fight forever, and that is their form of love. It was just kind of fun. She was a great design too, by the way. And that's one of the things I just praise about these shorts. Every time we watch them, there's just really imaginative stuff going on based on all the elements that we're so familiar with. So I could see her popping over. She could have, she could have shown up and caused problems for OSHA and the stranger. Could have been more flirt fighting there. Yeah. So I just, the dance goes on, right? That's what it is to me. Is this little chapter's complete, but the dance goes on for all of them.
Well, how do you feel when you play it out beyond that ending? What do you think? Do you think they're going to fight to a draw? Do you think the Ronin's going to let it go?
I think they'll fight to some sort of draw and move on until they meet again.
Yeah.
Something happens, I think it's ongoing. Nice. I think they'll team up again.
Nice.
I think someone else will rise. Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer, what did you think of the ending and the flirt fighting, as we're calling it?
It was cute. I mean, she was a fun character. I don't know. It was all right. It was fine.
Yeah.
All right, but hold on, Chad. Chad, what was it? You just don't like her?
I mean, I there was a lot of things I liked about the character. I liked the Japanese voiceover acting better than the English. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Was she wasn't in the first one, was she?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, let's get to Ewoks in the snow.
No Chimera and OSHA. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
No Chimera and OSHA.
Yeah. So what, Jennifer, what classic Star Wars ideas or images interested you, or what felt new and distinct?
I loved her lightsaber leg, which felt very Planet Terror, Rose McGowan's character. I loved that. I loved her multiple lightsabers. She won up General Grievous, which I didn't think was possible. That was super cool. Yeah, the blue lightsaber. I mean, the whole thing with the lightsabers was really confusing. I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is the bad person of this thing. And look, let's be real. There's a lot of right-wing politicians. When they talk about Star Wars, they believe that they are the Jedi. They don't see themselves as the Empire, which always cracks me up. And so I felt like we could show this to them and be like, do you see? This is the kind of Jedi that you actually are. You see me as the Sith, but this is what you're doing. So anyways, yeah, I loved that subversion of the lightsabers.
The Crusaders have arrived to take your health care.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I love the visual style of this. I love the drawing. I love the film grain. And I really loved the visual of the Crusader Jedi moving fast by becoming an outline and not having the detailed hash marks. I thought it was a great way to tell a little bit of that sort of Grievous story of like, I have given myself this sort of unnatural mechanical prowess so I can never be defeated. But it's also a thing that I've really been, that I had to really struggle with working on my own film of like, when you want to demonstrate speed, there's a challenge because you have to make it really clear and really impressive and really powerful. And by definition, it also has to be really fast, which means it's harder for people to perceive it. And I thought just turning him into an outline was such a cool way to use that visual style to show him moving unnaturally fast. That and the Ewok punching traps on the bridge were my two favorite visuals from this. Ken, what visuals, either old or new twist, did you enjoy?
Everything with the Ewoks, man. I mentioned it earlier, but then with like diving goggles on and like it's, buy your new action Ewok complete with scuba gear and punching machines. Like I thought it was such a fun use, and the fact that they're using the same kind of sounds, right? That there's some familiar Uchimamas and Yub-Nubs and stuff like that was going on. It just kind of was so fun, and we love the Ewoks there. I keep going back to it, but the gambling kind of den of iniquity, the walkers tied together. I mean, that is something, I guess to go back to the sports analogy, I'd like to see that drafted into the pros. Though there's a massive amount of professional geniuses working on this project, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It just was so unique, so different, and the way the whole fall, the sequence of it falling, it was drawn out in the most wonderful way. But it was an immediately lived-in world for me. And with an Enzellan and a Wookiee and a droid, like all the kind of familiar things running the joint, everything about it was fun.
And a droid that appeared to be wearing a droid mask, but have human hair. So there's something real interesting going on with that.
Something going on.
3PO-esque droid. Yeah. Is there anything that didn't work for either of you that you wanted to chat about? Ken?
No, other than I've stated my overall kind of like I have to be pulled into these and everything. But this one, I will say, for me, compared to the other two, we're not comparing it. That's not what our ratings are based off of. But these are a little bit more, and there's great personality. The Ewoks were such a welcome addition to this, but it's a little more stoic and somber. And I was pulled in by the other ones, which had a bouncy, more youthful energy to them. A lot of creak and bones in this one. So that's the only thing that I would say that just didn't work for me, but it's not something I would want them to change or need to change. And I think it works on many levels. But for me, what's going to cause me to, because I had trouble remembering the first one too as well, even though we watched it a few times for our review. But the first go around, I remember my favorite one was the band singing before Jabba. I just something about those. Right. If you can touch that kind of that bouncy energy, I'm going to remember them a little bit more.
Anything else from you, Jen?
No, I can appreciate it, but it definitely was not my jam, and that's okay. It didn't feel like even with the Ewoks, it just didn't really. I don't know. It just didn't really excite me in the way that the other two did.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah. So even though I struggled with some of the tap dancing around both sidesing the philosophy of Jedi and Sith, besides that, I really enjoyed this one. And I'm sure we will see more of this eventually. But we will move on to the next one called The Song of Four Wings. The studio is Project Studio Q. Brief summary: Princess Kurane and her loyal droid, Tortu, lost their homeworld in an Imperial attack. Now a member of the rebellion, Kurane investigates Imperial activity on the frozen world of Jotes. Not Hoth, Jotes. She discovers a village destroyed by the Empire and, against orders from not Admiral Akbar, goes in and rescues a small Gagoran named Upas. They attempt to escape, but discover the Empire is mining the planet for coaxium. Two walkers emerge, and Tortu takes armor form, becoming a mini wearable X-Wing. Upas uses the Force to fix the cannons, and the three destroy the mining ship. All right, big picture reaction. Ken, do you like it? Struggle with it? Love it? Where'd you go?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one, especially on second viewing, when I was able to kind of have a better footing on what I was watching, what was going on. And this is kind of, if I'm going to buy a ticket, I'll be clear again, but there's a lot of different styles that these Visions episodes and chapters are bringing to the table. So there's not just one specific style I'm expecting. But if I'm buying a ticket to this event, this is what I want. This is the transforming droid into X-wing, cute big-eyed creature that little tiny creature that launches thermal detonators with the slingshot, like everything kind of that I would expect from Star Wars Visions Volume 3. Made by these wonderful Japanese animation studios. So it was just, it was fun. It was fun. It had energy to it, including, I spent a lot of time thinking about like, wow, they have tapes in this world. They have little cassette tapes with music, and even the addition of music was fun and different.
It was a bop. It was great music. Yeah. Jennifer, what was your big picture reaction to this one?
This one was fantastic because it felt so complete. It was the perfect bite-sized dish. I felt satisfied at the end. I felt like, it's not one of the things where I'm like, darn, I wish that this was a series. No, this was perfect for what it was. I immediately thought of my kids, and I was like, oh man, I got to show them this. Is this the Whoopus or whatever? Star Wars cinema roll. I don't know if for anyone, Hello Kitty Sanrio fans out there, you know who cinema roll is. That's a Star Wars version of it. And I just
Jen, I'm more familiar with Choco Cat.
Oh, Choco Cat. Karopi. It just everything.
I'm more Bats Peru guy myself.
Yeah. The animation, the music, the energy, just layers upon layers of fun.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was one of those things where it felt like, oh, it could continue, but it doesn't need to because it is so complete in its own idea. And I liked that it had life and energy and a sense of fun and a sense of hope and a sense of these are the things that we're fighting for. But that at its core, it was, to me, this sort of experiment of like, hey, the original trilogy didn't always give due credit to Leia's trauma. What if we have a sort of version of a character in the Leia role who is the focus, and the focus is how does she process her trauma and her legacy? I really like that. It was such a mix of cute, fun, bright, hopeful, bouncy, but it's about trauma. That was great. So, Ken, what did you feel this one was about?
It really tied for me into the big picture Star Wars theme of everyone matters, right? And this is what we've got going on with it's similar to Leia, right? Similar to Wicket and her on Endor. Finding what might be perceived as the least of us, but having just a connection and understanding where Woopus, right? I'm saying that right? Woopus. By the way, the Mon Calamari, his first name is Basil, so I absolutely love that.
Wow.
Multi-Towers reference, nice.
But it was such a warm, wonderful scene, and it just made me, it's not a save the cat moment, it's a save the Woopus moment, and it worked for me. And just tying into our purpose in this story, and in this case, it's a story of fighting the Empire, and hope and action. But I love that message of kind of no Woopus left behind.
Yes,
the princess has been there.
No Gagorans left behind. Yeah. Jennifer, how did you feel about this one? What did you feel it was about?
I felt like it was about, that she kept talking about how there's a reason why we survived. I thought that was really, she was giving herself strength and the Woopus strength. And I loved the symbolism of the paper cranes, or the whatever type of cranes that they were, but they looked like paper cranes. Because the paper cranes, represent hope. They symbolize longevity and good fortune. And so then to have the Force come through this creature was really unexpected, and a reminder that the Force is everywhere, and it can be in this underdog type of species, although he won't grow up to be that. He'll grow up to be giant like Moroff. But there were just so many little things that like were woven throughout that were Star Wars familiars, like the Rogue One siren, or the walkers, but it just was in a new way that it just felt so. I just really loved everything. It was very, very sweet.
Yeah. I really liked how sweet it was, and I do think it was about everyone matters, no Woopus left behind. You never know. You rescue someone who your commanding officer is going, that village is always already wasted. What are you doing going in there? And like you find somebody who not only needs help because everybody needs help, but also this person is maybe more powerful than you think, and everyone matters. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a Gagoran by their big eyes, all those things. But I also just really liked the way it was framed about the past. In the beginning, she's kind of like angry about the past, right? And says, forget it. And it feels like there's a wonderful bait and switch where not Admiral Akbar is kind of going, okay, you don't want to be a princess anymore. You want to be this warrior, and you're kind of angrily going out in a stupid way to face the Empire. And all of that gets subverted, that she is going out not with vengeance in mind, but truly to help people. And by seeing Woopus, sort of the last survivor of a culture, being in the same position of hers, that it gives her this insight that what I took from it is, you can't kill or ignore the past. And as painful as it is, trauma, a massive trauma, is going to define you, but that doesn't have to just be negative. And it seemed like she was wrestling with I'm angry at the Empire because of the slaughter of my family. Why are you even calling me a princess? I don't have the person I was a princess of. The culture as a princess of is gone. And then through Woopus and the paper cranes reframes that as, it's even more important that I value my past and my culture, because I'm the conduit through which it will still survive. So that all stuff made me feel like, this is really like, what if the original trilogy really did make room for Leia's trauma and for her to process what it means to be the survivor of a genocide. Of, am I going to be defined by the anger of that, or am I going to be defined by the, I have the responsibility and the honor to carry the legacy of my people? And I love that's what this one came to. The line at the end, the kingdom may be long gone, but it's not forgotten. So I thought it was like a really beautiful message amid all of the cuteness and the fun.
Which is, to me, the best way to deliver that sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we already mentioned a couple, but Ken, what sort of classic Star Wars or ideas interested you, either because they were classic or because there was a new twist on them?
We have to go right to the seismic charges, which is a great example to me of what I've always said is the that Star Wars thing of that shared, unique journey where you feel in 2002. I felt like I'm the only one that those seismic charges are pretty cool, right? Does anyone else see that? Ah, that's my thing. And then you plug in and millions of fans are there, but we all fall in love with it in the same way by ourselves watching Star Wars. And so now to see, here we are 2025, and someone else was like, what if we tossed out several seismic charges? And it was this almost beautiful sequence in which she had to get around absolute destruction, and the sounds and the look and the feel of it. It was a wonderful sequence. I would love that. And I want to recognize it here and not just simply say, man, I wish that would show up in somewhere else in Star Wars. It showed up here, and it was really effective.
Jen, how about you? What Star Wars ideas or images, new or old, did you enjoy?
I loved that she says that it's an old droid, but it plays her music. That was so cute. Don't discard things, right? Old things can be good. Obviously the walkers and the snow emerging from the snow. It was really the first time where I was actually kind of nervous seeing the walkers. They've become such a part of Star Wars. I'm always like, we'll figure out a way to take them down. And this one I was like, is anybody going to actually get hurt? How is this going to affect our heroes? And I thought that was kind of fun, the way that it was animated. It was very, very threatening and scary. And the Voltron mode or whatever that was fantastic. I just was like, God, I love this so much. This is what I want from Visions, and it delivered that. I mean, there's always, I feel like, one short within the batch where it's just like, this is what I was asking for, and you gave it to me. So yeah, this did that for me.
Yeah, I love what a direct mashup it is between the aesthetics of Star Wars. It's like, it's right here. Why don't droids turn into mini X-Wings that you can wear all the time? Thank you, anime. Yeah. That is the correct answer. Yes. So good.
It was an example to me of like, this is kind of when I said I want to buy the ticket for this thing, this is what I expect. Like, it was so unique. I can't imagine that in Star Wars canon, right? Yes. And I don't want it to imagine it. It was so unique to this. It was so fun to this, and it was such a they nailed it moment.
This is how we tell that story. Yeah, I also like seeing. I know we've kind of seen it in Rebels, but it's really fun to see a sandcrawler as an actual mining transport, since that's the canonical backstory of how they all ended up on Tatooine. They're they were mining, but they're abandoned, so Jabba took them. The other thing that I really liked, you both commented on, is the astromech, data tape port being used as an actual cassette player to play actual music. There's the real world thing of physical media and old things mattering. But I remember, I think we wrote it, but my friends and I never did it. They always described the Death Star information as a data tape, even though it's kind of like a floppy disk visually, but they kept calling it as a data tape. So I think at one point we wrote a sketch where they accidentally put like Darth Vader's awesome tape mix number 6 in R2. He shows up and it says like, it's a best of music compilation, a mixtape. So I was like, wow, that joke kind of came true in a much more beautiful way. All right. I assume that we're all good on this one in terms of anything we didn't like, right? We all. Yeah. All right.
Nothing.
All right.
It also, again, maybe it's mood and just where am I life, but like it just moved so smoothly. Where coming off the running one, it was a little like slower paced, and I'm getting lost in my cereal while I'm watching it. Where this one, it was like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah,
that's what I needed.
Yeah,
Exactly.
love it. All right, let's move on to in some ways I think the kind of the big one, the
Yeah.
Ninth Jedi Child of Hope. The studio is Production IG. For anybody who isn't caught up, there was an episode in the first season called The Ninth Jedi. When Vision season 3 was announced, I believe. It was also announced that there would be a Ninth Jedi spin-off series, which made me enjoy this one a lot more, knowing that I wasn't watching a part of a show that would not continue, but instead watching a part of a show that is going to for sure continue. Here's the quick summary. A small band of Jedi are attacked by bounty hunters. Kara, a young Jedi in training, is blasted into space with a personal force field. As her ship jumps away to hyperspace, she is rescued by a ship hiding in a debris field. She meets and befriends a small droid named Teto. His ship has been hiding since the last war a very long time ago. Kara uses the Force to move a statue so Teto can visit his master in a Bacta tank, but the master has died a long time ago. Kara and Teto share wisdom from their father and master about helping others and being honest about weakness being a true strength. The bounty hunters find Kara and attack the ship. Teto, believing Kara is the Jedi who will bring the galaxy hope, sacrifices his little Teto life to power an escape pod that then detonates the ship, stopping the pirates. Kara's friends return and rescue her. Kara vows to become a powerful Jedi. All right, Jen, what was your big picture reaction to this one? Did you rewatch the original Ninth Jedi?
I did not. And I went into this totally forgetting that this was the one that was going to be the series, the limited
Mhm.
series.
Yeah.
I also forgot like there were some names attached to some of these shorts, some quote unquote US actors that we might be familiar with. So I
Mhm.
was watching this and I'm like, I'm going to put this one in English just because I don't know why. The force led me to it. And the moment I heard her voice, I went, Kamiko Glenn, who I'm such a huge fan of. I've talked about her here on the show before. She is the voice of Kif. For those of you that watch the Disney Plus show, highly recommend it. She's hilarious on that show. This showcased her talent in such a beautiful way, including Teto, who was performed by Freddie Highmore from the Bates Motel, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Good Doctor, and her Kara's father, played by Sima Lu.
Mm.
And I just was like, and at the end, I'm like, oh, I want more. Oh, maybe we'll get another one. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, this is the one that's a series. So I was
Yeah.
like, yay. So that was my journey with this one.
So you watched it in a different context, but did you big picture enjoy this one, even with
Oh,
some of those context information coming later?
I literally halfway through, I was like, they should make this into a series. I'm like, this is so good. And
Yeah.
it really felt like they were laying it all out there. Like I was like, wow, this studio is really showing what they got. Well, it's because they're setting up something bigger. That just came through without me even knowing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt similarly. I rewatched the original Ninth Jedi and remembered, oh yeah, this is the one that was my absolute favorite of season
Mm.
one. But then when I tried to rewatch it, I got kind of grumpy because I didn't like how much it was setting up. Oh, great! It's the first one is such a perfect pilot episode for
Mm.
an anime style show. It reminds me of the pilot episodes of some BBC science fiction shows that just sort of so perfectly set up the wanting to know what happens next that I haven't rewatched the Ninth Jedi much because I got kind of grumpy about how much it should be a show. So I was really, really enjoying this one, knowing that we're going to get more. And I think what I like about the Ninth Jedi, it isn't just the plot that it's such a good pilot. I feel there's something about this one that feels like it's really got the right kinds of twists on the classic uh, story of Star Wars. There's so much that is recognizable, but there's so much that's just like a slightly different twist. The Smith saber, her father being a sabersmith who has conditioned these kyber crystals to respond to the user's alignment within the Force, and so you have this fun game of the sabers turning colors, which is established in the first one. I think the fact that the heart of both of these episodes put together isn't about a dead parent; it's about a parent who is still alive. Those
Hmm.
things are like that's so close to the heart of Star Wars being about family, but such a big and different twist of like the twist in this one is the parent's not dead yet that that we're aware of, you know.
Mm.
It's just got such a great balance of action, philosophy, humor, design. I feel all the things I felt as a child watching the original trilogy between like, oh, that's really cool to, oh, that's really moving to, oh no, I'm scared for the characters to a little heartbroken. I think it's really, really great. Ken, what was your big picture reaction to this one and what kind of journey did you go on in terms of the context of this one?
I just really, really liked it in the sense that it tugged on my heartstrings. I'm having a year where I'm struggling with loss, not in terms of death or my Jedi Master being dead in a back to tank for centuries, or self-sacrifice. Just I'm having a
Mm-hmm.
things change year and letting things go and holding on to things, and right now it's me and my dog, and like I can only imagine her as a little droid, and I just got pulled in. It hit me right where I needed to be hit because, like I said, I've admitted to a bit of cynicism just this week in my life. Like, oh yeah, we got to review this. Yeah. Star Wars can be work sometimes. Blah blah blah. And this just climbed in under the armor. So I wasn't the big picture of a connected series coming, and I think they do a great job with the world setting. I also think I'm gonna say this again, not cynically. Like you don't even need to call it Star Wars. Just call it the Ninth Jedi.
Yeah.
I know it's from Lucasfilm, it's from Star Wars, but that almost would hurt it for me. Like just
Yes.
this is something entirely new. Just
Hmm.
put it out there. Make a movie. Make this an entire separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical portfolio in your business. Okay, there you go. I don't need it to be even closely connected to stars because they do such a good job. You're pulled in by it, and you're pulled in by not just the history that's going on with this droid, but the you know her search for her father and the battle above it all. So I big picture stuff. I really liked it, but for more than anything, it was about the emotions. I connected to everything going on between her and the droid. It was so sad, but it was so hopeful, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Jen, watching this episode, what did you feel it was about? What did you take from it?
Oh, I loved Teto's line. Only someone who is truly strong has the ability to reveal their weaknesses or weakness to
Mm-hmm.
others. Oh, that was really, really beautiful. There were so many great lines in each of these shorts. Even
Mm-hmm.
his use of the thumbs up gesture so
Mm-hmm.
consistently,
Mm-hmm.
which felt very reminiscent of BB-8, and his line, "Teto's a droid." No problem. And so
Mm-hmm.
even when he goes at the end, it was like, it's okay. It's like I got so emotional. I'm like, he's a droid, no problem. Maybe we can figure out a way. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag Teto
Um,
lives. Yes.
yeah. And then seeing her Kara hug the little droid that was acting like a little puppy or whatever or
Mm-hmm.
child. It was just adorable. Just the relationship between droids and humans. It was a
Mm-hmm.
happy version of our future.
Mm. Love it. Love it. Yeah, I think what I love about the Ninth Jedi is its philosophy feels clear. Like I like dark, moody, muddy, ambiguous stuff, but I think maybe sometimes when I'm coming to Star Wars, what I want is some of that sort of pure Jedi hope of that
Mm-hmm.
life is full of darkness and uncertainty, but if you listen to wisdom of your kind elders and you work together, and you have a lot of emotional maturity, there is hope. And the philosophy in the overall Ninth Jedi and in this particular episode is very clear. uh they talk repeatedly about the goal of the Jedi returning is to help break the galaxy's rage fever, where everyone is consumed by anger and fear, and restore peace. It in the storytelling, it isn't just like, yeah, they said in the crawl, restore peace, but now I want to see Luke Skywalker kick ass. It's like these stories are centered on what does that mean to restore peace? What philosophies or connections do we need to build to do that? And I think in particular, I loved in this episode that Kara and Teto didn't just bond out of kindness and a desire to help others, but that they had both going through similar journeys of being in pain because they're losing their paternal figure. Teto, his master, and Kara in search for her father, and that those parents, there's not so far a complicated story like the original Star Wars of how do I relate to my father when he was who fell to the dark side. These parents are paragons. They give good wisdom, and Teto and Kara repeat the wisdom of their parents to one another in order to form their bond. And there's a sort of a purity and a hope to that of, can our elders and our parents actually be kind, wise people who give us wisdom that help us in our darkest moments? Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, I think I think that was really, really great. Ken, what was your big picture reaction to this in terms of what it was about? What did it make you think about?
Yeah, at the center of it is that idea you mentioned, the gulf and engulfed in fear and hate, and just that simply helping others can help alleviate that, help change that, and it's often small. It's often on an intimate kind of one-on-one kind of connection. I like that. There was a great philosophy behind that, and just simply asking, why are wars? Should simple question that should never not be asked. When you analyze these things, and then there was just these in an episode that again was kind of sad and painful. There's great moments of comfort. I was really like the brief moment where the Force ghost of Teto's former master shows up to kind of just be watching over them while they're eating. Also, I love the little moment where her stomach growls.
Yes.
Such a real moment in this highly realized sci-fi world we're crawling in right now, right? And I think we've had those moments in Star Wars. I think I just all of us kind of rewatching Force Awakens for our discussions here 10 years after. That opening sequence is always of Rey, of just how we meet Rey. Those series of scenes has always been my favorite, and a lot of it's just this need to survive, and a lot of that is around just food and just seeing even what's going on in the world where food insecurity is a big problem. Seeing a character get hungry in this big kind of picture, and you hear it, and the droid's like, "Yeah, I'll take care of you. I will feed you, just like I fed my master." I just love the great warmth in that.
Yeah, I think every time I expected this episode to have kind of like a sour note. Like I expected the easy joke of Teto's real bad at soup. I expected a big anime spit out of the soup. I love that the soup was actually good. And Teto's like proud of himself, like, yeah, I'm real good at cooking. There's so much cockle warming. Jen?
It felt like a real Studio Ghibli type of film, because there's a lot of food woven in those films. And it really is like a source of comfort, a way to connect with other people. And I just thought that it was just overall beautiful. And I want to argue that for me, this episode, this short, has felt the closest to George Lucas's Star Wars than anything we've gotten. And the reason why is because it is so clear in its morality tale that it can work for adults as a reminder, and it can help kids understand. Asking a simple question, why do people need to fight wars? And like her saying, we must always lend a helping hand. We see that throughout this entire episode of people's actions, from Teto rescuing her, right, to her helping him, like just over and over again. And it's such a simple message, and yet it's very progressive, and it's something that we don't actually get a lot as explicitly as that. It's quite simple. And guess what? We need to tell each other that more and more often, because we seem to have forgotten that, especially with a capitalistic society where it's me, my content, my money, my monetary gains, right? I worked for this. Therefore, sorry, you're on, your SNAP benefits. Like, sorry. So we need more of this in our Star Wars.
Teto is a socialist.
Yes.
And so is specifically the quote that that Kara shares from her father Zima. My father used to say the galaxy is engulfed in fear and anger right now. That's why no matter what happens, we must lend a helping hand to anyone in need. That way we'll be taking those first steps in guiding the galaxy toward good. And I think
Yep.
that straightforward message, you're right, Jen. I don't think I think it's like that's Rey's journey in The Rise of Skywalker to me when you track it through, and many fans have. But just to have it stated clearly of this is what was taught to me, and that's how I am trying to proceed in the galaxy. And I think it ties to this other thread that you brought up, Jen, of the Teto saying to Kara, only someone who is truly strong has the ability to reveal their weakness to others. I think a lot of what is going on in our culture encourages us to show no weakness. Be the strongest, be the most right, have the best opinion on social media, have the most followers on Instagram, go to the fanciest party. If you show weakness, it's performative to appear relatable. There's so much that is tied toward a fear of being honest in our vulnerability, that by saying, I am vulnerable and I do need help and I am asking it of you and I will return it, is somehow giving away our power. And I think that when it's just stated so clearly of like, everybody's angry right now, let's stop being angry and help each other. It sounds so easy. Like, what are the obstacles to that? And I think one of them is this deep fear of showing vulnerability, of that if you give to someone else, they'll just take everything you have and you won't have power anymore, because if we give a little bit of money to people who need food, they'll just start taking all the food and I won't have any money and I won't be able to compete with my buddy who has a yacht. Like, all that crap is in here. And I like that the show also demonstrates that in Kara's Jedi journey. I love that the bounty hunters are too much for her, and the goal is live to fight another day. She admitted her weakness to Teto. Was like, I'm not a full Jedi yet. I'm not strong. I wouldn't have been strong enough to save my father. And I think a lesser story would have had her have a burst of strength and destroy the bounty hunters. But I love that Teto was like, no, it's okay that you're still learning and you need to live to fight another day, and I will help you do that. I thought was really beautiful in the storytelling. Ken, any other big picture thoughts from you?
No, wonderful stuff. Well said. Especially, I think it's real powerful to be able to admit those weaknesses, like you both have said so well, and how that translates to so many other things in many directions. I love you bringing in the yacht battle. That seems sometimes what we're dealing with right now.
So as we wrap up here, any specific Star Wars ideas or images or twists on them that you wanted to shout out, Ken?
Just a great droid design. Teto is great for so many reasons, and they just designed it perfectly and take so many familiar things, and having a Syrian as Teto's Jedi Master, and just things like Back to Tank. But like I said, it so stands on its own, and I'm glad it's getting a series. It's going to be interesting. I'm just going to try to approach it as itself. But I also really agree with you, Jen. This had a spirit of A New Hope in it that was pretty powerful.
I loved seeing Kara has the personal force field in space, so we didn't have to do any arguing about how she survived. And I just loved Teto's headbutt. I don't feel like I've seen a droid headbutt anyone. That was really a fun moment.
Right. Yes.
But the big picture that the droid is comedy and meaning is always there in Star Wars. We're meant to feel for R2 and 3PO, but so it's not the only Star Wars story to do it, but it's nice to watch a Star Wars story that didn't take any of the sort of the cute or the fun or the comedy from a droid, but also is totally unambiguous of like, but the meaning is also baked into this droid, and this droid is a main character, not a sidekick in this story. I really liked. Jen, any specific Star Wars ideas or twists that you wanted to shout out?
No, I think I mentioned it all. I mean, just great performances all around. I'm so happy it'll be a series in 2026. I don't know when. I look forward to it, though.
Me too. I think we probably don't need to talk about things that didn't work for us in this one, because it seems like we're all pretty positive. So that is our look at these first 3 episodes of season 3 of Visions. Ken?
Yeah, we'll look at the next 6 separately as well, making it bite-sized for us and you as well. Thank you for being patient with us on that journey there. A lot of fun. Hey, we're ForceCenter if you're just finding us. Deep dives, silly things. It's all here. The poignant and the downright fun. We like celebrating it all. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod, on TikTok at ForceCenter Show. You can support us directly at Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can get the podcast still. Don't forget, on Sundays we re-release Databank Brawl, and that is podcast only, our series from 2016 to 2020. Check that out there. Merch as we set up top at Fourth Wall or still at TeePublic, and you can check the links down below if you're watching on YouTube for that. Follow me at Ken Napzok. Come hang out with me on my show, The Blathering Live, 3 times a week on my YouTube channel. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find most of my Instagram stories, since I post a lot there, at Jennifer Landa, and pretty much every other social media site. Same name.
There you go. Joseph, thank you for leading us through that wonderful discussion. Where can I find you and your adventures?
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram and all the other social media places. I'm working hard on getting our film Dead Media out into the world. If you want to know more about that, you can sign up for the mailing list, and there's a link on my website, josephscrimshaw.com.
There you go. So for all the droids in the galaxy that are teaching us important lessons, we'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.